On the evening of February 9th, 2004, a nursing student named Maura Murray had disappeared after she crashed her car on Route 112 in Woodsville, New Hampshire. She is still missing. The footage of the man that you just saw was later linked to this case. Hey humans, it's Hannah. In today's video, we're going to talk about the case of Maura Murray. This one's a true crime case, but it's also an internet mystery case at the same time. It's a big one and it's important and it's so creepy that just prepare yourself. So we'll start from the beginning. At around midnight, the day she disappeared, like the morning before she disappeared, they had found that Maura had used MapQuest in order to look up directions for Burlington, Vermont. Early 2000s, am I right? She also emailed her boyfriend later in the afternoon, around 1 in the afternoon, telling him that she did not feel like talking to anybody, but that she would call him later. In the afternoon of her disappearance, she made several other calls. She called a place asking about the rent for a condo in Bartlett, New Hampshire. She called another nursing student, and we don't know what that conversation was. She called another place asking about hotels in Stowe, Vermont. Saying that correctly? She left a voicemail for her boyfriend at some point saying that they would talk later. She also emailed the school. She emailed her professors and her supervisor to let them know that there was a death in her family and that she was going to be gone for a week. There was no death in her family, so that was a lie. Later, when authorities searched her dorm room, they found that she had packed clothing, she packed textbooks, she packed toiletries, and her birth control pills. Most of the other things in her dorm room were all packed, all the art was off the walls, and there was a printed email that indicated to authorities that there might have been some issues with Maura and her boyfriend. After that, she drove away. A couple hours later, she withdrew $280 from an ATM, which was the last footage that anybody really has of her. And I will include some pictures here because it's clear that she is alone. She then bought about $40 in liquor as well. Then the actual car crash occurs. Sometime after about 7 o'clock, a witness, some neighbor, saw the crash and she had called the police. She originally told police that she thought she saw another man in the car with Maura, but then later she changed the story to that she thought maybe it was just, she saw a red light, maybe belonging to a cell phone. Another neighbor had called and they claimed that they had saw somebody else walking around her vehicle. And then a third person, a man who was a bus driver, saw her and he stopped and asked her if she needed some help. She said no, and she actually, the word they used was pleaded that he did not call the police and that she had already called AAA. However, according to AAA records, no phone call from her was ever placed. So we don't think she called anybody, but she begged this man not to call the police. He left and got back to his house a few minutes later, and he decided to call the authorities anyway because he knew that there was bad cell reception there and he was concerned. The first woman that reported the accident was at about 7:27 p.m. and authorities arrived at the scene by 7:46 p.m. That's less than 20 minutes past the first call, and the other man called as well. By the time authorities got there, Maura was gone. There was no sign of her. Authorities did find a rag in her muffler pipe. What happened here? My best guess is that she had been drinking and she did not want the police to arrive if she had been drinking, because then they would get her on a DUI, and maybe that's why she crashed as well. That seems like the most logical explanation, but it's also like, was she planning on running away? She was so panicked that she was running from something or someone. It's really hard to say. Somebody else said that they saw a young woman running on foot by herself a few miles away from the crash site, but unfortunately they didn't make the connection right at that time, so they didn't report it until much later. Police didn't have any sign of a crime that was committed, foul play, or that this could be connected to a serial killer or anything like that, because first of all, they haven't found her or her body. And second of all, they thought that since all the other signs pointed to her running away voluntarily and that this possibly wasn't a crime at all, they were concerned that she was suffering from suicidal thoughts as well. To this day, they cannot find her, and her family continues to search for her years and years after it happened, and they cannot find her. They've had a couple leads, but they've all been unsuccessful, obviously, because they cannot seem to locate her or her body. This is where that creepy video from the beginning gets involved. On the 8th anniversary, a YouTuber named MR112DIRTBAG posted videos about basically really creepy, they're almost ARG style videos. Like they're almost like, they remind me of creepy ARG YouTube videos, but they aren't. Obviously, he's not playing a game. The video he posted was called Happy Anniversary, and it was posted on the 8th anniversary of her disappearance. And internet sleuths strongly believe that this might have something to do with the case and he might either be the killer. If you didn't notice, his YouTuber named called MR112DIRTBAG, she disappeared on Route 112. For the dirtbag part, Maura's dad had said that she probably got abducted by some dirtbags, and that was in the media as well. So we think that his username is connected to that. So there's clear connections to the case, and the family, as far as the family goes, they believe that it is just somebody that's using this as a sick game to gain attention and be creepy, which is quite possible. Authorities couldn't really do much about the videos because there was no hard evidence in there that he was actually connected to or committed this crime. And to this day, nobody knows for sure because they weren't really able to identify him and find him. Most of the internet, as well as our good friend Reddit, agree that it is a man with a mental illness who is using this as a sick game. Maybe he got obsessed with the case, whatever it is, and just using it to taunt the family with their own daughter's disappearance. Like they haven't been through enough. It's creepy enough that we should maybe look into it more. I don't know. I just think that that would be, I mean, serial killers have been known to taunt law enforcement in other historical times, so it just seems like maybe it would be worth it to me to look into it. But of course, I'm not a police officer, so who am I to judge that? People are so weird. They're so terrible. Like, I mean, even if you're not a serial killer, you have to be some kind of sociopath or some kind of psychopath in order to do that to a family. Like, right? Like, I'm not crazy, right? As all missing cases, I really hope we find her someday. And I hope just for the family's sake that they can get some closure on it. But it's still a crazy, bizarre case. Her actions leading up to the disappearance are just so like back and forth and odd. So that's it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you guys later. Bye.